Here's a WikiTree profile for William Ronald Cooke, born July 26, 1889 and died 1957. That's it. But here's what those two dates don't tell you. On August 13, 1917, in the skies over Belgium, William's aircraft was hit by enemy machine gun fire. He made a controlled emergency crash landing, but he survived. Now, if that story can be buried between two dates like this, imagine what your ancestor's profile might be hiding. Today, we're going to dig a little deeper, because it turns out the evidence wasn't just in the archives. The clues were also in a family photo album all along. Hey everyone, welcome to Family Tree 123. Today we're continuing our WikiTree series, taking the next step toward writing better biographies. In case you missed earlier episodes and are getting started with WikiTree, you can click the link right up above my head there. But today, instead of reviewing theory, we're going to walk through building a biography, using William Cooke's actual profile, military records, and the unexpected story behind pictures we found in his sister's photo album. We are starting with this to-date anemic biography stub, and we're going to turn it into a biography worthy of a man who went to war, took 3 bullets, and survived a plane crash for king and country, and came home to tell about it. The story actually starts, for me, with Kathleen Cooke, the sister of William. She is the direct ancestor in our family tree. She kept a photo album, which we inherited a number of years ago, and because the family was relatively well off, their access to a camera in the early 1900s enabled a very early documenting of their family life. I remember the first time leafing through the album. 2 photos just seemed out of place. They were pictures of World War I biplanes that had crashed, and she had added these captions: "Pilot killed, pilot survived." What would make Kathleen take an interest in random plane crashes from flight training school? She was a kindergarten teacher. Well, sometimes later, I was working on her brother William's profile, and I stumbled upon his First World War service record. Cooke, William. I expected to find information similar to my own grandfather, details about enlistment, rank, infantry unit, and so on. But boy, was I in for a big surprise. William was a pilot in the First World War. We're talking about the era of the infamous Red Baron and the very early days of flight. You can bet I sat up in my chair when I started reading through his service records with great interest and enthusiasm. And what an amazing journey of discovery this has been. Now, don't forget, the Wright brothers had made their famous first flight at Kitty Hawk in 1903. Just 1903. So flight was literally in its infancy when the First World War broke out, and those early airframes were dangerous at the best of times. William Cooke was 25 years old when he enlisted with the Canadian Expeditionary Force in 1914. Eventually, he found his way to the Royal Flying Corps, the RFC, which was the air wing of the British Army. Pilots were trained in Canada using an aircraft much like this one, the Curtiss JN-4 Canuck. And as you can imagine, there were accidents from time to time. And Kathleen Cooke was keenly aware of the risks and followed the newspapers closely, documenting crashes. Now, as biographers, this is gold. These photographs are primary source evidence of the emotional reality surrounding William's service. This was the context that contributes to William's biography. A photograph of a crashed biplane becomes something much more relevant and emotionally significant when you catch a glimpse of how it impacted the people in his life at the time. Well, naturally, seeing these photos made me curious, and they eventually led me to discover the military records for both of Kathleen's brothers, William and Norman. Now, all personnel files from the First World War are available online for free at the Library and Archives Canada website. I'll show you how to find these records in the tutorial section in a few minutes. As we scan through William's personnel files, we learn that he landed with the Royal Flying Corps 55 Squadron. Becoming a pilot in the RFC required not only physical fitness, but aptitude, training, and nerve. These positions weren't handed out lightly. And as William prepared for his first combat mission in 1917, he would have needed to have nerves of steel, because in the spring of 1917, the RFC was losing nearly 50 aircraft every week over the Western Front. This came to be known as Bloody April. Now, by the summer of that same year, improvements in aircraft design helped to turn the tide. The introduction of the Sopwith Camel, for example, would prove to be decisive in improving the odds for the pilots of the RFC. Nevertheless, the skies over Belgium were deeply contested, especially near the Ypres salient, where a massive offensive campaign was grinding on. In our imaginations, we can probably visualize what that might have been like for William to launch into the dangerous skies over Belgium, and perhaps you've seen films or newsreel footage about the aerial dogfights in those early days. But for William's biography, we'll let his medical record tell this chapter of his military service. Here is an image of his complete medical record, where his biography literally jumps off the page. The medical officer wrote this: "This officer is attached to the RFC and received his wounds in an aerial combat. His machine was shot down, but under control, and in landing it, turned over, the officer receiving some contusions in the face." Then he goes on to describe the more serious wounds that he sustained before the crash. The first bullet wound through soft structures of the right shoulder, a bullet grazed over top of the right shoulder, and a bullet entering the middle of the upper body, left trapezius muscle, and apparently lodging in tissues to the left of the spinal column. And the medical officer adds, that last bullet causes no inconvenience. That sounds a little bit dispassionate, doesn't it? If a piece of enemy shrapnel lodged next to my spine, I think I might express a little bit more alarm than that. Anyway, William recovered from his injuries, but movement in his right shoulder was limited, and he was put on support duties for the remainder of the war. Now, we don't have a picture of William's plane crash, but I'm glad to say that Kathleen was able to learn the pilot survived. All right, let's use this information to build William Robert Cooke's biography. WikiTree ID, Cooke-6272. First, we'll click the Edit button and scroll down to the Biography section. And let's just create some space between the birth and death dates. Next, we'll add a few more subheadings: early life, military service, the combat mission, August 1917, recovery and return, and finally, death and legacy. Notice I've added a dedicated section for the combat mission itself. When there is an event that is this significant, it deserves its own subsection heading. Now, here we are in William's early life. And you know what? I'm not going to make you sit and watch me type. I'm just going to copy and paste the text into the biography section to speed this up a bit. So here we have details about birth date, birthplace, parents, and anything you need to know about his early home life. Next, we'll move on to the enlistment section. Here I'll note his enlistment in the Canadian Expeditionary Force, his service number, his battalion assignment, and then the transfer to the Royal Flying Corps. Next, we move on to the combat mission section. This is clearly a major highlight of William's life. However, it should not be sensationalized, but neither should we downplay it. You have to be balanced when presenting material like this. The best option, in my opinion, is to let the records speak for themselves. We'll just paste in this text for the context, and next we'll paste the transcribed text from William's medical record. Notice that the bulk of the biography entry here is text quoted directly from his medical record. Now, let me show you really quickly where you can find these records. Go to the Library and Archives website, Canada, click the big button that says Search the Collections. Now, when you get to this page, scroll down and use the filters to find the World War I collection. In the topic box, select Military History, then click the button Filter. Now you will see personal records of the First World War here on the right column. Click that link, and here is where you add the details for searching. Click Search, and there it is. Now I downloaded the documents, and from the original PDF image, I've enlarged it. I took a JPEG image of it, increased the contrast to make it more legible, and I was able to transcribe it. Now, it's important for us to attach the source citation for this record, and it's a lot easier to do it right now while we're still on the website. I like to copy all of this text, which tells us where this file is located in the archive. Now we'll just pop over to William's profile, put the cursor where you want the citation, and then go up to the top of the biography section and click this button to insert the citation. It will add these ref tags with a little bit of text in the middle. Just delete that text in the middle and paste in the text that we just copied. Now tidy it up. Now we'll go back to the archive and click this permanent record link. We're going to copy it and then go back to the citation and paste it in. I won't go into the details, but you can look at it. You can pause the video and look at it if you'd like to learn how to add a link to a web page. Finally, I'll close this section by adding, this happened near Dixmude, Belgium on approximately August 13th, 1917, right in the middle of the Third Battle of Ypres. Now, I'm going to change this next subheading to Research Notes, and I'm going to add an entry about Kathleen's photo album. I'll describe the 2 photographs of the crash training biplanes with her handwritten captions, pilot killed and pilot survived. I think it's probably important to add a note that this draws a connection to the RFC training, and we'll flag this as family evidence pending further verification and suggest that the photos be viewed in that light. Now finally we add William's burial place with a citation from Find a Grave and scroll down to Save. Just add a note about the changes that you've made and then click the button, Full Save, Commit Changes. And there it is, William Ronald Cooke's biography transformed. Amazing. Can you imagine how much of William Cooke's life story would be lost if all of this was missing? With nothing more than just 2 dates, born 1889, died 1957. So here's what I want you to take away today. Military records are some of the richest biographical sources available to genealogists. And in Canada, and I'm sure in the United States and other countries, First World War personnel files are often available. They are detailed and often breathtaking once you look at them. So don't forget to search for those records. And don't overlook old family albums either. They can have clues. William's sister Kathleen left us evidence not just of what happened to William, but of how the family was feeling while this was all happening. That's biography gold. The same can be said about most professions. They are often listed in census records, a town directory, or some other source. And if you just investigate a little bit, do a bit of legwork, you can often find interesting facts and bits of history to liven up your ancestor's profile. Now, if you have any questions about anything we've covered today, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. If you found this helpful, I'd appreciate it if you give a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.